Hi peeps, I want to show you how to propagate your plant cuttings in perlite and why you might opt to do this instead of propagating just directly in water. Perlite is this really unique material that is puffed up volcanic rock that is super porous, and that's the main reason we use it in something like chunky and funky mix, because it has these little tiny channels that hold water in it. So what you're going to be able to do by propagating in perlite is you're not going to necessarily put the cutting fully submerged in water. You're actually going to put the cutting in perlite and then keep a water reservoir, almost like you would a semi-hydro plant. So that water is going to kind of keep a really humid environment, and the perlite is actually going to give something for the roots to grow onto. So you'll actually, in my opinion, get roots that adjust to being put in soil a little easier when you propagate in perlite versus propagating just directly in water, where those roots are really formed particularly for water. All right, we've got all our supplies here. So I have a nice little glass. We're going to use this to propagate our plant in. I have our jumbo perlite that we sell on the website. So nice big chunks to really keep a good balance of water and oxygen for those roots. Then we obviously have our Rhaphidophora cutting. This is a beautifully variegated Rhaphidophora that we're going to do. And then in this container with water, which is our half-liter squeeze bottle, I've already added both Clonex solution right here. So this is going to stimulate new root development. And then I've also added a tiny bit of root zone. So with this, you want to do 5 milliliters for 1 liter of water. And then with the root zone, you want to do 1 milliliter for 1 liter of water. Step 1 is going to be to take your jumbo perlite and sprinkle a little into the bottom of the cup. You just want to get a little base layer so that way your plant isn't sitting right at the bottom. So if I tilt that back, you can see there's a tiny bit in there. Then I'm going to take my plant, and you can see right here, these are our aerial roots that are looking to grab onto something. There are going to be new roots that develop right out of these. So I want to make sure that these two have access to root into the part of the perlite that has water. So they'll eventually grow down into the water, but ultimately I want them in wet perlite. So I want to make sure I put those into the cup. You can see here. Then you're going to take your glass, and I'm not going to tilt it up for this, but I'm now going to go ahead and just fill the perlite in here. So you really just want to fill that in to give it some stability. Ta-da, here it is, filled up, looks great. I'll show you vertically in a second. But before I do that, I'm going to now take my water that has the Clonex and the root zone and go ahead and fill this up. Okay, we are all filled up, and as you can see, my water line is about halfway up, so not full the way. The perlite is quite porous, so it's going to absorb some of the water and hold it in. So I try to keep the line of water to about at least a third, ideally closer to half. It really depends on where the roots or the aerial roots or the nodes on your plant are that are going to grow, that you want to encourage growth. But there is no need to fill the cup all the way up. The perlite on top here is wet from me just kind of filling it, so that'll create a really high humidity environment to stimulate those roots. And then lastly, some big advice I have for you. I would keep this in a nice bright area, but consider putting this in something that might cover it, whether that's a cover pot or anything. You don't have to, but the reason I recommend that is you will get algae formation on the perlite just from light exposure because there's nutrients in there. It is not harmful to the plant. It's just a little unsightly. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. See ya.